a genetically enhanced super spy lizard. Here's your look at the new Playmates toys. This is the Power Players Galileo. Game on! With a crash of the Minergy-fueled power bands, 9-year-old Axel transforms into a 6-inch tall super-suited action figure and joins the Power Players, a living toy team battling to save the world from Madcap and his evil minions. Of course, before we get this review underway for Galileo, the first thing we're going to do is figure out how tall the figure stands. So I'm going to take it right to the top of his crest head and stop the tape measure, what I believe is right there. There we go. According to the trusty tape measure of mine, you're looking at the figure of Galileo standing 5.4 inches in height. And that in centimeters works out to be 13.9 or almost 14 centimeters tall. And like what we did with the other Power Players that we had a look at, we can bring in the other figures for some scale comparisons. Just rhyming off their names, just in case you forgot for yourself. Shame on you, by the way. Here are the other figures. We got Barbarian, the last figure we had a look at. In front of him, we have Axel. We have Masco over on the side, and then the only one missing from the equation is Sarge. A good lineup of figures, all different from one another. There you can see all the size differences, all the different colors of the characters' costumes. It's a real nice ragtag bunch of fighters, of course, teaming together to battle the evil forces of Madcap. So check this out. Galileo does come included with a disc shooting weapon. Unlike Sarge's rocket launcher, which actually didn't have a firing missile, this one does shoot the disc off. It's a little tight though. When you put the disc in place, you have to really push down this button right here to shoot the disc out. It is, like I said, really tight. It does shoot out a kind of greenish, fluorescent green disc, and then you just pop it back in place like that. But it really does require a whole lot of extra pressure to shoot that disc out. I'm not sure why it's so difficult to shoot this. And like I said, you would have to really apply a lot of pressure for this to, there we go, to shoot across. It's gone. It shot across the room. Needless to say, though, it does fit onto his hand. It's funny that I would talk about that, and now the disc is literally on the other side of the room. I'm going to have to go retrieve that. Needless to say, though, the disc does fit onto his arm, just like so, as you can see, and it does really fit on both sides, too. I don't know if specifically whereabouts it should be placed, because obviously you want to still have access to that button. I don't know if it's best to just, really, like the button for it being back down here, it makes things a little more trickier to even then get to it to fire it off. I guess in the meantime, we can sort of just pretend he does have the disc until I eventually go and retrieve that. Some assembly also is required for Galileo. When you get him out of the packaging, you have to install the tail. The tail is basically just attached right there. This is what it looks like when you get it out of the packaging. This is what it looks like when you're putting it together. And this is what it looks like when it's finished, with or without, of course, the thumb. You don't have to put that there if you don't want to. Galileo, though, is a genetically enhanced spy lizard, so what you will see with him is some aspects of some robotics coming into place, specifically with his mouth. And the neat thing about it is that the mouth actually does open and close. In a way, it sort of reminds me of Trapjaw, a little bit like Trapjaw from Masters of the Universe. You used to fight along with Skeletor and battle He-Man. But this does open and close. I like that he does have some posability in the sense that the mouth does open and close as opposed to it just being completely molded shut like this. In a way, this also reminds me of a mutant that you would expect to be teaming up with the Shredder to battle the Ninja Turtle. So why not again? Don't limit yourself to the confined spaces of a toy line. Branch that sucker out. And by all means, you can have this guy working alongside Bebop, Rocksteady, or whatever minions are currently working with the Shredder for the time being. Obviously, we're not going to sell this line short because it's a really neat designed line across the board. Galileo is very much a different style of figure than the Barbarian that we had a look at, and previously to that Masco, and previously to that Sarge, and previous to that Axel. They are all very unique to one another. Galileo, according to the packaging, though, does have these little fins just on his underarms, these little purple fanned out sections, which unfortunately this figure doesn't have. Maybe in another incarnation that Playmates does release, if this line does well, we might actually see fins make appearances on the underarms of Galileo, who I did initially call in these reviews Galileo. He does have some really nice coloring there. Very vibrant blues, blues, greens, not yellows, and purple on his fins. You would just imagine this also making appearances down here as well. The scale work is also quite nice on these pieces, if you could get a close-up look at this. I don't know what's happening here, though. I mean, if these are sleeves, I don't know if they should actually have the same texturing as the rest of the forearm. I'm guessing this is obviously they just painted the forearm. This part here should probably be smoother, like on the packaging, like the front of his chest. Speaking of his chest, get a good gander down there. You can also see that they've got the trademark Power Players logo that makes appearances on all the figures. Galileo's just happens to be on his very small belt. I wonder what waistline that would be. That would be like an 18. Imagine buying jeans in 18s. That would be, I don't even think such a thing exists. He does have the additional scaling that works its way down onto his lower legs. He has very large hands, I've noticed as well, which is accurate to the artwork depicted on the back of the box. Again, he's just a really well put together, well designed looking character. Something similar where you can look at this. And one thing about the Power Players is when you look at them, they look like something that reminds you of something else, but yet they're still different enough. I get that very much that vibe when I'm looking here at Galileo. Okay, so let's have a look at this guy's articulation. His head rotates back and forth. It's actually attached by ball joint, so you can rotate that back and forth like so, and up and down. Of course, we've already had a look at. His mouth does open and close. I like that. Arms hinge outward, once again at about a 90-degree angle. No problem whatsoever moving these guys' arms. You can move his arms all the way around. He doesn't have a swivel on his bicep. When you look at it, you feel like you could actually move his bicep back and forth, but no dice. You can't do that. Bend at the elbow, or bend at the elbow, which also allows the forearm to rotate. And you can also rotate the hands all the way around. I thought that these would actually hinge back and forth, but in actual fact, they are only just pegged in place. So in other words, you can rotate just the hands like that. Now, this guy also possesses an upper torso crunch. This is, again, something very different than some of the other Power Players that we had a look at. None of them possessed this feat. Some of them, of course, had ball joints, yes, but they didn't have the crunch in the abdomen like Galileo does, which also has a waist swivel back and forth. The legs go forward and back. This is also a case where if you want to move the leg, yeah, I know, you've seen this before. If you move the leg this way, you basically have to turn the leg this way. See? Like that. Here's a bend at the knee. You can rotate it to some extent as well, and he also has foot articulation. You would almost believe that because he is lanky, that he would be difficult to stand. And in actual fact, no, he stands perfectly fine. He stands actually better, I find, than Axel did, despite for the fact that he does have the additional tail that sticks out from his body. Maybe it helps as an aid to the figure because it kind of counterbalances the figure's lanky nature. I really like the design of this character. I'm disappointed that the disc shot across the room. I'm going to have to go see if I can find that. But at least he does have a disc shooting weapon. Doesn't shoot the greatest, mind you, but give him some points for the fact he does actually have something that fires off, unlike Sarge's rocket pack or rocket launcher that came included with his figure. And as for the disc that got launched across the room, no such luck actually finding it just yet. Maybe my cat had swept it under the sofa, so I'll have to go check for that later on. But in the meantime, he has to be sans le disc here in final looks. Despite for the fact he doesn't have a disc to shoot, which was tricky in the first place to actually get to fire out. He's a nice looking figure to look at. Very colorful, very bright, very lanky, and very lean. He's definitely different than some of the other power players that we had a look at. And according to his read-up card, which I might also recommend you cutting out and saving for your personal records, Galileo would be a top secret agent if he could stop posting on social media long enough to go undercover. Yes, that sort of is the problem that faces a lot of us. We know what job is in front of us, what needs to get completed, and we get so distracted by social media. Oh, hold on a second. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's texting me, not that I'm aware of. It's a joke about social media. Either way, though, guys, this is a really neat lineup of figures that should be hitting store shelves right now. Let me know down below who you think is your favorite of the power players that we had a look at. This now leaves one, and we're leaving the bad guy for the last. We're going to be having a look at Madcap in the upcoming review. I just gave it away. You guys probably could put 2 and 2 together. Quite simple enough to know that the next figure I was probably going to be having a look at was the last figure from this lineup. You guys are all very smart. Big thank you to the folks over, mad props thanks to the folks over at Playmates Toys who were nice enough to send these samples my way so that I, in turn, could provide you guys the 411 on this hot new toy line hitting store shelves right now. If you guys are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notifications so that when new videos are coming onto this channel, the intended plan is that you're going to be getting the heads up. I don't know if 100% if that works, but you can hit the bell notification if you're looking for something to do. If you are looking for something to do, members of the mob, I hope you stay tuned to this channel. Not only are we going to be having the look at Madcap in the upcoming review, but there's also a whole treasure trove, yes, I did describe it as that, of videos on this channel, which right now I think we're getting close to 9,000 videos. You think I'm kidding when I say that. This channel is almost hitting, if it hasn't done so already, 9,000 reviews. 9,000 reviews. There you go. Take that. But there's definitely lots of content to view here on a regular basis, whether it be the new content that's coming up here regularly, or if you'd like to go back and check out the treasure trove of older videos, almost at 9,000. Lots of stuff, like I said, coming your way, guys, so keep your peepers peeled. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.